Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Confident Parenting Podcast. I keep on wanting to say Confident Mom Podcast because I'm a mom, but I really think this is inclusive for everybody, although I'm sure mostly moms are watching me. If you are new here, hello, my name is Julie. Thank you for being here. Thank you for coming back. If this is not your first time seeing me, I guess. I did a video recently about being a stay-at-home mom, my decision to be a stay-at-home mom. And I got some interesting feedback on that video and I wanted to continue the conversation. So I'm going to adjust my camera quickly because I feel like it is askew. Hold on. So before we jump into today's topic, I just want to let you guys know, if you're new here, that I have a background in occupational therapy. I have a clinical doctorate in occupational therapy. As part of that, I have done a lot of what we would call therapeutic process, which is kind of like counseling, coaching. It has elements of psychotherapy weaved into it. We study psychology. So I have experience in real life coaching moms and people that want to improve their life, that feel stuck, as well as professionally. And I've done group coaching, individual coaching, all that kind of thing. So if that's something that you're interested in, my email is down below. You're welcome to send me an email and we can set up a time to chat about maybe starting coaching together. And I hope through these videos you can see who I am, what I'm about, what I kind of stand for, and whether I could be helpful to you. So just want to put that out there. Also, I would love for you to subscribe, give this video a thumbs up if you find these topics helpful, thought-provoking. Leave your comments down below of your experience and opinions about this. I would love to hear whether they align with mine or different. And I'm always open to understanding and learning new things. It's the great mystery of life to be able to research and maybe even change your mind. So I would love to hear your opinions. And if you like and subscribe, it shows me that you enjoy this topic and I can make more videos like this. And if you have other video ideas, then leave them down below. But with all that said, as I was saying, beginning of the video, I spoke about my decision to become a stay-at-home mom, which has now been 4 years ago. I have gone through many iterations of working part-time, full-time, I don't want to say half-time, but on maternity leave, having a maternity leave, not having a maternity leave, just not returning to work, moving so that I wasn't able to go back to my previous job, all these kinds of things. And it sparked a lot of conversation. And one of the things that I found was interesting and something that I have thought about a lot is this idea that women who give up their careers, for lack of a better word, or stop working in the traditional workforce now are very vulnerable to the partner that they are with, presuming they have a partner, right? Someone that they're having all these children with. And you really need to be very careful about who you decide to partner up with or marry or live with before you make the choice to remove yourself from the workforce. And the underlying idea here is that you stop earning an income, you have less power in the relationship, and you have less option to leave if you need to. So this is something that I have thought about a lot. I feel very grateful that I have a husband that I don't think would ever leave me high and dry. Like if we were to separate or, dissolve our relationship, I cannot know for sure, but let's assume the best of us, I don't know. Assuming we didn't murder somebody, maybe, I think in this instance, he's the one with the money in this situation. I think he would try and be fair. We would both be fair. I don't know. I would like to think that it would be a fair separation, but, I don't even want to think about that. But the point being, we made this decision for me to stop working together because I think, and I don't want to speak for him, but I certainly see the value in having one parent at home, someone who runs the household. And I've spoken about this before. Having a mom, or in this case, I'm the mom, so I'm just going to refer to as mom, but it could be dad too. I know of stay-at-home dads. Having someone as a CEO that keeps the coal fires burning, so to speak, is crucial. And one of my reasons for leaving my job at the time was that, one of the things was that I cannot even remember my second child's like babyhood, toddlerhood after I went back to work. It was so chaotic. Nothing wrong with the job. It's just that it adds such a level of stress. But from a financial perspective, I was basically just paying my nanny whatever I earned. And so I felt, especially on my low days, that she was essentially raising my children. And like, why did I even have a baby if I'm basically outsourcing the majority of my child's day to somebody else, and I have regrets about it to a degree, but if I hadn't experienced that, I would never have this perspective, I think. And so, you have to like move on. You can't be dwelling on the past like that. But it was just a hard time for us. And I was so anxious about work. I used to dream about being late all the time. It was very stressful. So for us, the decision for me to stop working also came with the fact that we decided to move to an area that was a little bit more affordable, or so we thought. But I mean, I guess objectively it is more affordable. We moved states where there's like better tax rates, and we can survive on one income. Would it be nice to have two? Yes. Would that alleviate financial stress and just help us plan for the future? Yes. But we could also cut back, I guess, on lavish expenses like trips and things. That would also help. But we had to make sacrifices. And I think what's something that's been really interesting to me is that it hasn't all been like amazing, like being a stay-at-home mom is really hard. And I think it hits differently than just being bad at your work job, because at least for me, someone who's kind of type A perfectionist, needs a lot of therapy probably, or has a lot of emotional trauma around these kinds of things, like wanting to do a good job. When I don't do a good job, according to me, it almost has more dire consequences, because these are my children. So like these children are always going to be, they're always going to trump any kind of job or career that I would have, like in terms of importance and just their vulnerability and being young. And innocent and everything. And I feel like, oh my gosh, when I mess up as a parent, this is like dire consequences. Whereas when you mess up in a job, yes, obviously it can have dire consequences, but it's not as personal to you, especially if you're working like for somebody else. I guess what I've like learned is that it's, when you're not, it's not always amazing to be a stay-at-home mom. And I think we need to acknowledge that. Like, I think we're selling people this dream. And then when they decide to, remove themselves from the workforce to look after their children, which is an important and admirable thing to do, I think, and sort of the way that we are programmed, I think there's a reason why it's so hard to leave your baby, because it's, that's how we survive. When it doesn't go well, you think that you're making the wrong choice. You think that you're bad at being a mom. You think that maybe working is easier. Maybe it is, depending on the day. And you have these false expectations of what it's going to be like. And then you're like, well, I'm terrible at this too. This sucks. Like, I'm not happy either way. I'm not happy working. I'm not happy not working. All of these things. And I just think accepting that in life, there's ups and downs, roller coasters, and it's normal. And if you didn't have this pressure from society to be doing all of the things, if being a mom was just kind of what was required of you, then if you had a bad day, I don't know if we would take it as personally and internalize it as much, because you could be working. And so then you're like, oh, maybe I should be doing this. Maybe that would be a better option. Now, please don't misunderstand me. I think it's very important for women to be able to work, to rise in the ranks, to be well educated. I mean, I spent my whole life getting highly educated, and then to kind of give it all up and become a mom, it's a hard paradigm shift to be someone that makes money and has a professional identity and is respected in a certain way. And then all of a sudden, like, I don't have that anymore. Never mind the loss of like the social aspect of work and the friends that I made, all of these things. It's like, you are sacrificing one thing for another, and you just have to make the personal decision as to what is worth it for you or what you can afford and all the things. Something else, if you are considering, if you're able to take a break from your job, or maybe you quit that job and you look to do something else in the future, is that you can never get those childhood years back. And this is something I used to tell myself a lot, and I think also really fueled my guilt when I was working, that, my children will grow up regardless, hopefully, and they'll never be that small again. They'll never have those formative years again. And I could always, in theory, get another job. Like at the end of the day, I left my job. Like I'm still in contact with those people, but from an organizational perspective, I was just a number. And like there are very few jobs where you're completely irreplaceable, So at the end of the day, like you can find another job if you really wanted to. You can't be someone else's mom. Like you're their mom, and like that's an irreplaceable thing for the most part, like generally speaking. So I just think we have to weigh up in life pros and cons, and if you're on the fence, just consider all of your options. That being said, I am really happy that with online work and just that changing, that culture changing, and virtual industries, and just a lot more options, I guess, in working wise because of the internet, women are able to have maybe more flexibility when it comes to working. My particular job and the way I did it is an on-site job. Pros and cons, like once you're done for the day, unless you're a manager or, doing administration stuff, you can probably just stop working for the day and you can sign off. It's not one of these jobs that will go on all night long, but you have to do it at a place. You have to have people come to you. You're within an organization, all the bureaucracy, all the things. But a lot of jobs you can do from your phone, from your home. And I don't think it's easy to work in any capacity really when you have children and no childcare. But if you had to, there are jobs that you can do where you can work around your kids' schedule. And that's all I really ever wanted. I want to be able to work, and I'm going to talk about that in a second, but I want to be able to work around their schedule. And there's just very few traditional jobs that allow you to do that. There's just not a lot where you can work between the school hours, take off when your kids are not in school, because we all know if your kids are in traditional school, that school is closed a lot of the time, or there's something happening all the time, or they're taking the holidays are very extensive, and our society is not really built for that. Our society is built for one parent to be at home. So now if you're trying to add a whole career and a job into a structure that's not really ready for it, it's very challenging. But you can do it. Like, it's going to be hard and you're going to be tired and maybe you're going to have no social life. But if you needed to work, say 30 or 40 hours a week around your kids' naps, or when they go to bed, or on the weekends, or when you have like childcare, you can do it. I mean, I've done similar stuff while working a full-time job in it. But it's not going to be ideal, and you're probably going to burn out after a while. But maybe by the time you're getting ready to burn out, maybe your kids are going more into like a more schooling where you have a bit more time, or you've figured out something better in terms of just childcare. In the US, we just don't have great infrastructure for most people. And so, maternity leaves are very short or non-existent. And then what are you supposed to do? Even if you got a maternity leave for a year, or your job was protected for a whole year, which is incredible and not unheard of in the US, it's not like you can leave a 1-year-old by themselves. You still have to make a plan. It's just, it gets a little bit easier as they get older because they're a little bit less vulnerable, right? But man, anyway, it's not easy, but it is possible. And I want to encourage you that if you're in a situation where you quit your job, I have found, I'll just speak for myself, unexpected benefits of doing something, but the something needs to be meaningful to you. And I want to loop this back to how important I think this is for your kids. So one of the things that I also tossed around in my head was like, if my children don't see me work, what kind of message is that sending? Like, moms just stay at home and do laundry and dads go out and work, or moms aren't smart because they don't work. Like, what kind of subliminal message is that sending? Also, they might not think anything of it. This is just, I'm probably way overthinking this. But there are all these things like about how I want to role model certain behaviors to my children. I have 2 female children, so they could be in my situation, and what messages and how am I relaying this to them? So what I have found, and I've been reflecting on this a lot, especially as I have more recently been producing videos and content, I feel alive when I have some kind of project that is my own. The key part for me, where this is different from a job where I have less autonomy and choice, and I'm kind of being told what to do when and for how long, is that when I feel there's a purpose and it feels meaningful to me, it inspires me. It gives me energy. I don't need to sleep as much. Like, I am enthused by it. I am energized and invigorated by it because I feel like I have a purpose besides being a mom. And for me, another hard pill to swallow is like, my children were not enough to like get me out of bed in the morning. I mean, yes, they literally were, because I would have to keep them alive. But in terms of my personal happiness, where I have found the best balance for me is not working outside the home where I feel I'm sacrificing my children's childhoods and I can't manage the mental load of a full-time job and motherhood and running a house and a partner that travels and all the things. What works for me better is having some kind of project or job. It can be income generating or not. It's obviously incredible if I can make money from something that I enjoy doing. I mean, isn't that the dream? Or we all want to do a job that we love, but that's hard to find sometimes. And it's a journey to find it too. It's not something that you necessarily know what you want to do like overnight. You have to just try things until you kind of strike the match and it explodes, right? So having a purpose, as I said, either remunerated or not, so either paid or not, but paid is better, but it doesn't matter. I'd rather take something that is purposeful and that drives me, that is not paid, than something that's inauthentic and kills my soul, that I'm being paid, but the sacrifice is too great. It depends on your situation, right? So having that, for me, has been a great balance. Like, now that my youngest one is 3 and in a more formal school setting where I have protected time where I know she's going to be at school, especially when my husband is traveling, I know I have those times, because obviously when he's away, I am doing everything. I'm not going to have any free time when they're at home to work. Whereas if he is here, we could probably negotiate something depending on his work schedule. At least there's someone else here, you know. And as my kids have gotten older and they do more independent play and they're reading and they're like doing their own thing and they play together, like there's just a little bit more breathing room. Those first 3 years of a child's life is very intense. And once you get to sort of 3, I feel like that's when you can start to do things for yourself again. And that's so important. And that's why, you know, I've started having these conversations in my head. Like, should I return to work? What would that look like? Is it worth me doing this? Like, what message am I sending? How, is it going to work like with our budget and childcare and all the things? I think I'm really starting to think about that stuff now, because my youngest one is at an age where I have a bit more help and stability. And so I would encourage you to think about all of this and try and find a balance where you are doing something that you find really meaningful, that will fit into your family life. If being a stay-at-home mom or prioritizing your family is your main top value, or you're the one that you have chosen within your family to prioritize the kids, if that is your particular role, then everything else should kind of become secondary to that until your children don't need you in that capacity. You know, like as our kids get older, you'll find a lot of women, people that I look up to, they are reinventing themselves at like 40, 45, 50, 55, 70. I mean, if you look at Ariana Huffington from the Huffington Post, I think she's like 74 or 5. I'm not 100% sure. She is incredible. She's like starting all of these companies and doing all these things. She only became a mom, I think, in her late 30s and 40s. So she had a whole career. She had her kids. It was all like crazy. And then she's gone ahead and still is reinventing herself much later in life. I think, you know, we don't have to feel this pressure to do everything when we're 25. Like, you don't have to have kids, get married, have a like incredible career, travel the world all in your 20s. You know, there's other decades that you can still enjoy life. And it's just about managing and planning and prioritizing when that can happen, with whatever is realistic for you. So I hope I've given you some food for thought. Let me know your thoughts. I do think that maybe being a mom for some people, at least for me, I'll speak for me, is not enough in terms of my happiness. Yes, I'm happy to do it and I will do it willingly, and you know, it's incredible, but I also feel like I need something for myself. Not everybody is like that. They get joy and busyness and productivity from other areas, and being a mom is quote unquote enough, but like often they're not just being a mom. They're being a daughter to their parents that are aging. They are being a good neighbor to their community. Maybe they're volunteering. There's just so many other things that are going on that you wouldn't necessarily know. They just don't list it down on a piece of paper, right? And for me, having a creative project, being able to create and build something is so inspiring to me that I can't not do it. I just feel like I have to. It's like creating art, like I just have to do it. Anyway, so that's my little rant for today. I hope this was helpful and thought-provoking. If it was, please consider subscribing, give this video a thumbs up so then I know I can do more of these like chatty, philosophical videos. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.